87.
Okay, I thought it was 100. Okay, so, I mean, number one, it's just such a small group, and you had the time and the opportunity to spend with us as individuals. More time, I believe, I'm not sure about this,
Absolutely.
than public teachers.
Absolutely.
So their hands are tied in a lot of ways, but I believe that they can be taught, and I'm sure there are a lot. Matter of fact, there were. I've had teachers, I'm sure, in junior high and high school, but there was only a very small percentage that I did feel close to, that gave more to me than just my, what I had to learn, what I had to, my tests and what to study for. They gave of themselves. And I think it's hard for teachers today with the size of the classrooms, but they need maybe more time. I think the school day is pretty short too, isn't it? Seems to be short.
No, I don't know.
No, it's not.
The bells have been ringing the same time.
My son goes to school 9 o'clock, he's home at 3:30. How many hours in school? I mean,
I used to go home at noon. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we went from 8 to 12 on this point.
That's right.
We got home at 12:30.
well, doesn't seem like enough
You
time.
turn it into your fathers, right?
1 to 6.
Right, that's what
No, I'm talking about, I don't know, but from a teacher's, perspective, it doesn't seem like.
What about work experience? I mean, you were like, I remember thinking back. You were
I'm not saying that there weren't some things that I enjoyed, and that some relationships. My relationship with Kenny Reed went on for many, many years. I'm not going to undercut that, and I'm not going to take away from it. But you see, having relationships and those things, and having a vehicle to be creative doesn't necessarily have to happen in an environment like Maslow was. We can learn how to relate with one another. How to relate in a forum type situation. Those circles of concern, for lack of a better term, can be found in other places other than Maslow, and have been found in other places in Maslow.
Agreed. That would be wonderful.
So I have a lot of good memories. I'm not trying to belittle that, but what I'm trying to say is, as an adult, instead of getting emotional and smolchy and looking back into the past, I need to be responsible, and I need to say, okay, that was fun. When I used to smoke dope, it was good, okay, but that doesn't make it good for you, okay. When I shot drugs, it was good, okay, but that doesn't mean it's good for you. Well, Maslow was good for a period of time. I had some great friends. I mean, I had fellowship with you guys, but
you didn't shoot dope at Maslow-Toffler.
no, I didn't. But I'm just saying. But as an illustration, okay, as an illustration, just because something's good and something is emotional, warm huggies. I was in a bike club and we had a pseudo family. We were the best of friends. We would kill for one another. Okay, we had everything Maslow had. That doesn't make it right or good. Or
Should
good.
have the guidance.
But the thing is,
Yes, guidance.
the people around us at the time, if we did, like John said, if someone did crash, or someone was hurt, or went in the wrong direction, you had a whole group of people who cared and tried
I also
to help
think that
There were many people that fell through the cracks.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, sure.
but there were many people from Starveling and Ross that
Right,
fell through
right.
the cracks too.
But wait a minute. But you're talking about a graduating class of 1,500 versus a small family of 80. Okay, and I realize and I understand that we want to make it bigger than it was, but I need to look at it realistically and say, were these groups all there all the time for everybody? I mean, they were there for me, so I can't say that they weren't there for me. Okay, because I had many times people come by my side, but we had people getting messed up the year after school. 1 out of 80 instead of 10 out of 1,500. So I mean, you have to look at it.
Like Charles
Steve,
said,
I don't think anybody
raise your
here
kids
says
and-
that the program was perfect, that
I'm not saying perfect.
that it worked for 79 people. Okay, one person fell through the crack. Okay, that's acceptable. No, that isn't acceptable. But if that's what happened, right, that is part of the process, right, of learning. Okay, what what could have we done to, maybe prevent that one person from falling through the crack, or, right, if it was 10 people that fell through the crack, what was lacking in that process, right, that could have changed the outcome?
That's my premise, now.
Yeah, the same.
Before you guys go on with this, I just want to interrupt to ask if, and I know we're now pushing almost 9 o'clock. If we can give this maybe 5 minutes more, and then everybody will leave. Is there anybody who wants to say anything about what memories might have been triggered, in spite of the fact that it might be a little bit mushy? I'm not afraid of mush.
I don't have a problem with
Okay,
mushy or
if
small
anybody
seed,
if anybody saw anything in the retrospective, in the videos, that reminded them of something or that they wanted to comment on.
No, I thought today when I was coming, somebody mentioned Maslow-Toffler, and they said, "Where is that? Where are you going tonight?" I thought, my God, I can't even explain this. So I said, "I'm just going to see some friends." And I realized for 10 years, I can't talk about those 10 years. I can't share it except with my sons, and they're busy with their own lives now. So there's really, and the greatest thrill I had tonight was seeing you people, because you taught me so much in those 10 years, and I didn't know that until it was over. All my one-to-one I never had that before, and I'm sure it helped me with my own children, and will help me with my grandchildren. But just today, being able to come out of that closet and being able to mention MT, it's just such a thrill for me. You'll never know. I can't explain that. It's too hard hiding that. It really is.
Just explain it.
I wouldn't fight it no more. I used to fight it. Now, there's nothing to fight. No one would understand.
Imagine what the staff went through. Trying to explain.
It's,
Trying to get it started.
I don't want to use the time to tell you, maybe afterward, if anybody's interested, I'll tell you. I believe, and I think I told Ken this, I now understand why I couldn't tell anybody for so many years, and maybe I speak for Alice when I say that I now understand the difficulty, and I'd be glad to tell you what I've discovered if we're going to talk about it later on. Thank you.
I think there were a lot of unspoken rules.
Yeah,
If someone was inappropriate or someone, we like this man said, you had to be accountable for your actions. You were called on it, in an open forum.
Well, inappropriate was encouraged. It's when you went beyond that was not encouraged. Inappropriate was okay. That was part of the, well.
I'd like to know something. I'd like to know what was the purpose of that thing when you pass the lemon around and you try and guess which one was yours. I remember that. I just don't really.
That was after 74, 75.
We used them even in the beginning. I don't know if we did it 74, 75, but it was an orientation activity. It's never been used, to my knowledge, since, because we did not share those activities with anyone, even when they asked, could we borrow those, because they were just, as Steve alluded to the fact, we were very aware that these were very powerful instruments, and if they were used in a way that might have been abusive of the people involved, they could do an awful lot of harm, we thought, so we didn't share them with anybody. The purpose of that particular activity was to allow somebody to experience and really know on an experiential level how, if you look at people, you will find such incredible difference and beauty and individuality in every person, because the whole assumption was a lemon is a lemon. But when you looked at a lemon, you found out that even if there were 30 lemons in a bag, every lemon was different, and if you passed those lemons around, you could find yours. Now, if you could do that with a lemon, imagine what you could do with a person. So that's what that was.
Were you remember that exercise?
I do in-school suspension at the high school in Connecticut. If you don't know what in-school suspension is, you spend 7 hours looking at me. It's supposed to be the room in which you're supposed to hate. Well, my son now goes to high school, and I've been in this particular position for 3 years. And I said to him, Keith, this is your school. There's plenty of other schools I can transfer to. this is your school. If you find it too hard, Mom being in the building, just let me know and I will transfer. I can't do that, I won't get the hours, but I will gracefully. It's his school, this is how I feel. So after the first, second, third week of school, I says, well, Keith, how is it, what's it like? And he says, Mom, it's fine. All the older kids are coming up to me, oh, your mom is cool, your mom is great. Now mind you, I run the most structured school, classroom in the building, because I have to. This is the punishment room. This is the room, the step before you get out school. If I can't put up with you, you're on out school for more days than you have in school. And I sometimes have to look at these faces for 10 days in a row. I mean, we're up to like, kids are now in my room. Each time you get in trouble, you get an added day. And it is a lot like the Breakfast Club, and I feel I've learned this from Maslow, that I can have the nerd with the cool kid. By the end of the day, now we're technically not allowed to talk, but if we get into a discussion, I do not stop it. If it is a controlled discussion, if, I have gotten up on my desk and danced in front of these kids to explain to them, you don't need drugs to be happy. If you got it in you, you don't need it. Your personality's great. You don't need it. I've been sent to the principal quite a lot, but, I've learned, but to open up, this, and I don't think I would have learned that, to allow these kids. I have a kid in my in-school right now that stole my ring from me, out of my house. He's got busted for coke right over Christmas vacation, and he's a perfectly wonderful, treats me like
Like he stole your ring.
no, there's no hard feelings. No, he treats me fine. I have to take him for what he treats me like that. When he stole my ring, he personally didn't know me. You think that's wrong? At face value, I take them. And it's great that if maybe the cool kid sees the nerd kid having problems in the hallway, I'm hoping from my classroom that the cool kid is going to come over and help this other kid. Whereas before they didn't know each other. They wouldn't have mingled at all. They would have made fun of each other. Or vice versa.
Just a reminder, you have 2 more minutes until the end of break. 2 more minutes till the end of break. When the bell rings, all 8 minutes will be doubled.
It's a dynamic of doing time. In prison, they do the same thing. It's a dynamic of doing
John,
time.
do you mind if she puts the camera on Brian's picture for...
I don't know. I find that by just letting them open up, and mind you, it is still a very strong, I haven't been to the principal at all this year.
It's a dynamic of doing time. They do it in prison. It's the same thing.
But I
But wait, the camera's focusing on Brian.
I don't know if
Anybody want to say
anybody-
anything about Brian?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody knew, but Brian Gifford, our good friend, passed away a year ago, December 31st, of cancer. And he would have loved to have been here. He was one of the most beautiful people I've ever known. And I just wanted
Thanks, John.
to just add that.
Just a reminder, you have 1 more minute for break.